Thompson Productions.
Aaron's right. We need America to wake up and prioritize Israel, and that is not what Kamala Harris is about. We need to bring home Americans and end this war, bring home Israelis, and make sure we stand by our #1 ally in Israel. And people need to wake up when it comes to November 5th. Donald Trump's the only choice.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
I think Tyler is amazing.
And I'm a fan of this show. I've watched several episodes.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. You stink, Tyler.
Never promise crazy a baby.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool idea.
Are either of you homosexuals?
I go both ways. What do you think?
You mean like flaming or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
But I do wonder for others in other cases whether libertarianism today is just an excuse for many on the right to act selfishly.
Look at me. And then some fat asses in Washington started having opinions. The Olympic Committee started having opinions. You bitch, I know you. You started writing your opinions.
And it just makes me wonder, you're dead, bitch. You know, why are you doing this to this poor guy?
I don't care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
Did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
It's always the perfect answer. LPR. We're doing our legal show, but we're not doing it on Wednesday. We're doing it on Tuesday because, let's take a look at this. Lawfare, $5 million lawsuit. We're going to break it down, and we're going to do some legal wrangling with this. Is this a good lawsuit? It's one of the most bizarre, and I think there's so much more to it. Part of it, you saw that in the open there of Kash Patel's allegiance to the foreign nation. Yeah, you're going to sue me for that? Fine, sue me for that. I mean, stuff is bullshit. And anyway, this is Tyler Yonke, LPR. We do Legal Pundit Report on Tuesday or Wednesday, and this week. Let's see if we have, let me take a look, see if I have this. Sorry, I didn't have this ready. Is it pinned? There we go. It is pinned. Let's take a look here. This is what we're having coming up Friday. Mel, the Village Crazy Lady. She's been featured with Candace a bunch, so I hope you enjoyed Michael Oxford's there. And yeah, so there we go. There we go. Let's take a look at the chat. Okay. David Moore. Elijah is a drama baiter, and I'm sure he's loving it. Absolutely right. So this is why I put in my love this Teen Spirit song. I put in the thing. It's the hilarious lawsuit, but it's serious because they're not doing this, and he may love it and all. And I think it's so batshit crazy. I'm just spoiler alert. It's a horrible lawsuit as far as like drafting and everything. And there's more about it. We're going to dive into all that. But yes, Elijah is loving this because he's going to be able to bank off of this in a sense. And Magoo says, what up? Hey, what up, Magoo? Good, long time no talk. My boy down there in the Georgia area, right? I believe so. Yeah, hope everybody's doing well. We'll let everybody get a little bit of time to come in here. The show's been doing well. I'm doing new things. So once again, go to our Substack, tyleryonke.substack.com. It's in the descriptions there. Just go down there, click it, join up, and I'm sending out the stuff. I do have plans to do some members only things still. So, you know, that's the place you're going to find out about it. And I'll put the links out to Rumble. It'll be a private link on Rumble is what it's going to be. But to get that, you're going to have to go to Jawa. Yes. You're going to have to go to Substack to get that special link. That's all I'm telling you there. Okay. Solo cam, you know, we can keep this full chat going in here if you guys keep doing that. Okay, so I had in my legal documents to at one point go over because Kash Patel's girlfriend, and I'm conflicted here, right? Which is, and we'll walk through all these things, but Kash Patel's girlfriend, I don't want to even give her the credibility of calling her Alexis Wilton. That's her name, but it's like the Alexis Wilton lawsuit. No. This is the Kash Patel's girlfriend. And she's not as renowned as he wants her to believe, but that's also important because this is a defamation. She files a defamation lawsuit against Elijah, and we're going to walk through it. So initially, first I saw it yesterday, Kyle Seraphin is being sued by her as well. Okay. Now look, is she a smoke show? No, she's definitely not ugly. Some people were saying, oh, she's ugly. I mean, her eyebrows are a little bit much, but she's a pretty girl. He's not. Okay. This is time immemorial. It's a situation where a hot young girl falls for a pasty gay guy, and they do so because power and influence over and over and over. That's the biggest news out of the story is Kash likes girls. Thank you. There is a rumor out there. He's not making any lawsuits himself, but I think he is because we're going to dive into some of that. But anyway, here's a podcaster for insinuation that she's a Mossad honeypot, and I don't believe that this goes right along with the Candace Owens and some of these other things. You know, maybe we'll play that real quick. We'll play this. Let's go here. Because you know, lying can be a big deal, and if you're lying enough to the powers that be, you can be, you know, it could be a defamation lawsuit. But you got to have some things here. So remember last week we talked about it. Oh, by the way, this is a video I saw here. Look at this. This is Kash Patel working out. Why are you filming yourself? Okay, he's not even doing full pull-ups. And the flag is strategically placed outside. Not even doing full push-ups. Okay, that's just embarrassing. Ben Shapiro goes on Megyn Kelly, and he says that Candace Owens is claiming that Erica Kirk killed Charlie Kirk or had something to do with it. And then he tries to kind of like massage his way in there. So this, and she's like, oh, really? And it was so bad and blatant. But here's what Megyn Kelly says about it. Here you go.
That Candace has been claiming...
Wait, let me get the volume up here. There you go.
Erica Kirk was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard, and I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending Erica Kirk and saying she would never make a claim like that about Erica, and that she is open-minded to other people at Turning Point. That's obvious. She's been making that point. I had heard that point, but she's specifically been defending Erica Kirk, and she's been saying she does not think that of Erica. And in fact, if you read her comments, she's under pressure to make comments about Erica, and so far, what I've seen, she hasn't. So.
I bring that up for a reason because we're going to talk about defamation. Unless you see it in the background, I'm not seeing that Candace, and someone did a search earlier this year when this Macron thing came up and some other stuff. I don't think she's ever filed a defamation lawsuit against someone else. She's had like that, but see, you've got to be harmed, okay? And I know we can look back at Walter Block, who's like, anarchist, don't believe in property, intellectual property and all this stuff. And then he does file a suit against the New York Times, okay? Sam Tannehouse, who wrote a book about Whittaker Chambers and William F. Buckley. I really like the Whittaker Chambers one. The point I'm getting at, that's the guy that did it for the New York Times. And so you can have your principles, and then for some reason you've got to go back on them. However, she has a lot of reasons to be filing suits against like the Ben Shapiro's and some Josh Hammer. People are just outright blatantly lying, and I'm glad she's not. Okay, because I think it's just whatever, just to defeat them in the world of everything. Magoo says I'd say he outkicked his coverage, but I don't know how to say that using cricket terms. Wickets and something else. What up, y'all? Hey, say what now? And David, oh my God, seeing Kipping pull-ups makes me want to do real reps right now. You do them. You do them. I don't know any of that stuff, but I should get my acting gear. Okay, let's go to this, back to the news story. The Grayzone put out a news story, and it is pretty good, but I don't know. Here's some important parts that I think that we should talk about with this. Maybe, how about if I move this browser a tad bit, just so we can not have my beautiful face in the mix there. Mired in scandal over his leadership, the FBI director is lashing out against MAGA influencers for mocking his girlfriend as a Mossad honeypot and activating his legal network to slap them with frivolous multi-million-dollar lawsuits. Now, Toad, I just saw posted, he said, look, and we're seeing this with the anti-Semitism and all the other claims that are going out there is, you know, when you're, how did he say it? Toad said it, which is something like claims of, you know, Mossad agent and all this stuff. It doesn't help because it makes it look like it's more real when you start having these frivolous lawsuits to shut people up about it. And I'm like, actually, you know what brings that to mind is Lance Armstrong. He, you know, wins the first his first Tour de France in 1999, and immediately there's people that are like, this is unbelievable. And I mean, like, unbelievable. Okay, so there were stories. This guy David Walsh was a British journalist. He was immediately like, this is not right, and he starts digging into it. He wrote for like the Daily Mail or one of these over there, and he started writing some articles about it. And then Lance starts doing his thing, which is just lawsuit after lawsuit. He had multiple defamation lawsuits in Europe, which is an easier standard, and he wins a bunch of these about doping. Now, we know he was doped up to the gills, as can be, but this is what you do when you have the money, and we've talked about this before with the Tate brothers, right? When people are going after him, sometimes it can be to your benefit. I think that's how you had Hulk Hogan brought down, what was the magazine that he brought down with the help of Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel's like, they had made some comments about him. Then there was the whole video thing, and they did a massive lawsuit, which just crushed that online mag. And so, you know, you can do that with you if you have a lot of money, and you have to have some semblance of a claim because, you know, otherwise to do so, it's a little problematic. Now, there's, let's keep going through some of this. The wind was at Kash Patel's back in the early months of 2023. It was during this period the Trump-aligned legal operative met Alexis Wilkins, a 24-year-old wannabe country music star who would become his girlfriend, and launched his foundation, Fight with Kash, which pledged to unite America First patriots to fight the deep state. Yeah, he's done a swell job of that. With the telegenic Wilkins by his side, Patel seemed to be living in a quixotic, I don't know, storyline in the children's book he had co-authored earlier in the year, The Plot Against the King. Now, that is, I think I think I might do a deep one here tonight. So, someone did a little thing about his book, and I want to play it because it is somewhat batshit crazy. Here we go. Here we go. So this is done on, like, it's on X, but it's like Twitter or whatever.
Okay, you cannot make this stuff up. Apparently, the FBI director, Kash Patel, had written a trilogy of children's book. It's called The Plot Against the King, in which he portrayed himself as Kash the Knight. There's Donald Trump, called the King Donald. There's Hillary Clinton, called Evil Hillary Quintown. Basically, Kash the Knight helps King Donald to kick out Hillary Quintown. You can't be serious. After that is achieved, he helps King Donald to steal the election from Sleepy Joe. Oh my God. But wait, there's a dragon called the DOJ. But it's not called the Department of Justice. It's called the Dragon of Jalapenos. Okay, what is happening? I thought Valhalla was the beginning, but no. This guy lives in fantasy world forever. There is Valhalla, there is We'll Keep the Watch from Game of Thrones, I believe, and a trilogy of children's book. Oh my God.
Okay, very well said. He's a joke. Gawker. Thank you, Gawker. Uncircumcised. Okay, Gawker. Okay, you guys are down on the H-1B FBI at work. Yeah, this is something that what's his name? Vivek and Elon were arguing about, right? Okay, so let's go back to the article because this is important. We're breaking all this stuff down here. He wrote that book, which is a fairy tale hero, Knight Kash embarks on. I mean, Dave Smith's wife just wrote a children's book. I can't believe she can compete with this kind of fantasy. Okay, this is something. I mean, what is he? He's the what's the lady that wrote? Anyway, let's not get into this. But almost 3 years later, Patel's tenure as FBI director appears to be unraveling in a series of embarrassing congressional testimonies and public meltdowns related to his suppression of Jeffrey Epstein client list. I did not play those clips. I had a show planned, and life happens, to play those clips of him in the congressional hearings. Embarrassing. I did play a few of those. He was embarrassing. And now people are like, oh, look, he's owning the libs. I'm like, I'm sorry, your job as FBI director is to go out there and to, one, transparency, some of these other things, actually answer some questions. He was embarrassing. He recently activated his legal network to fire back against his most ferocious critics. However, the targets of his wrath are not the deep state liberals or anyone resembling Hillary Queenstown villain from his children's book, but the most ideologically zealous voices of America First movement, whom he's accused of slandering his girlfriend. The disgustingly baseless attacks against Alexis, a true patriot, and the woman I'm proud to call my partner in life are beyond pathetic. This is where Candace had talked about this, and she read the whole tweet. I think I did too. And she's like, this is like high school love problems. Yes, she's almost high school age, and he is some sort of cradle robber of some sort. Attacking her isn't just wrong, it's cowardly and jeopardizes our safety, he went on to say. 5 days earlier, a law firm of, this is the part I want to get here with this article. Then we will read the complaint itself. 5 days earlier, the law firm of Jesse Bennell, Patel's personal lawyer and chair of his foundation, filed a bizarre lawsuit accusing right-wing podcaster Elijah Schaffer of having perpetuated a malicious lie about Alexis Wilkins, falsely claiming that she, an American-born country singer, is an agent of a foreign government assigned to manipulate and compromise the director. Now, we'll get to it. The suit also, what I want you to draw your attention to, this is a law firm, Jesse Bennell's law firm. It's Patel's personal lawyer. I think that's the firm he was a member of as well, who chairs his foundation. And now the girlfriend is using them to file this suit. Dude, you talked to this, we've said these things before, which is, it's a private company, bro, right? That kind of thing with the libertarians, and we're going on, and I'm like, hey, when there's such intertwined connections, like Facebook and the government, sometimes they are acting as a state actor, right? You then have a government official. Can the government shut down your speech? Well, we have the Second Amendment, or the First Amendment. The Second Amendment helps solidify that, actually, but we have the First Amendment of free speech. And then you got, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to do it through this hoe bag of mine, Alexis Wilton. Yeah, sue me for that too. By the way, I just want to use this for no reason. Well, I had someone on YouTube make a comment about how, that was really, a racist or what the word they used, anti-Semitic. I'm like, okay, you mean this thing? Whatever. So Jesse Bennell, that's his personal lawyer. It's also the chair of his foundation, but now that is the law firm. The bizarre lawsuit occurred, perpetuated vicious lies. Okay, we said that. The suit also took aim at Schaffer because he, quote, frequently posts anti-Israel rhetoric, accusing Israel of controlling the United States and its politicians. So this is where, keep all this in mind. We're going to keep going. Bennell did not respond. Okay, we'll get into this part because this is part of it. I really wanted to play that because that was the important part of the issue regarding the attorney. Okay, so there's that connection there. And I think I actually have a tweet someone did about it. Here we go. Oops. Okay, so this guy did a little work here, and we'll take a look at this. Elijah Schaffer tweet. This is Kyle Seraphin. He's also being sued by them. Got the same lawsuit from the same amount of money from the same firm I got. The law firm is Bennell, which is run by Jay Bennell, who is also the president of the Kash Foundation, formerly Fight with Kash. They share a physical address location per their websites, and it shows all this here. I think that's interesting, and that could come into it, because what you've got now is, think about, this is all these things we've talked about with Jonah Goldberg, right? Liberal fascism author, and I've got some of his, I don't know, his books I used to have, maybe I've thrown them away. And by the way, he had one of by the way, take a drink. He had one of the, before tweets were going on here, this was the President Bush election of 2000, right around there. And there was, he wrote an article, and it was hilarious. He was talking about hanging chads, and he put in there, the first line of the thing was, hanging chads sound like a really bad gay porn, or something like the title of a game court. Yes, that was funny. But since then, he's become really a curmudgeon and kind of a POS. And he was talking about the Candace thing, and he's like, oh, I can't wait for, she's showing fake tweets now. And of course, she showed her phone up to the thing. I mean, if you've got to be, she would have to be certifiably insane to manufacture tweets to put them up in this state. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And she hasn't produced any tweets that I've seen that have been able to be falsified. So what is interesting about that, he puts that up. He's like, this is amazing. These are fake, because, someone did some fake, their own fake analysis. Fake tweets, and this is going to be an amazing lawsuit. And I'm like, you've got to be careful with lawsuits, okay? I'm an attorney. I understand this. I do family law, but I understand a lot of this other stuff. Let me just break it down to you. Clients come in, they're like, hey, maybe I just have hired, or they just have hired me, and it's not something that I've started with. There's already a child support order in place. Maybe its typical situation is dad doesn't have enough custody time. Now he wants more custody time. So he wants to modify child support. That's really what they're trying to do, right? He's paying too much in child support. And one of those real factors that's one of the big issues is how much time you have. So like, I want to get more time. So we're going to go and we're going to file a motion to modify custody, and they want to, at the same time, modify support. And I'm like, easy there, buddy. Because what you don't want to do, it's reciprocal. The courts have the ability to make reciprocal changes and modifications and orders. What that means is, just because you want to change it to a number that you want doesn't mean that the court can change it to a number that the other party wants, right? So you file on that issue, and they have reciprocal relief, the ability to give either party the relief that they may or may not want or do want. So I'm always like, easy there. You don't just go and file this to change support, because this happens, and then sometimes you pay more. What if it doesn't come out in your favor? Now you're making more money and everything else is the same. You're going to be paying more. Maybe that person doesn't have the job. I don't know. So you got to take these things and understand and think forward and be careful. One of the things you got to be very careful about in these kind of lawsuits is discovery. Discovery is the ability to, and it's just what may lead to admissible information. So the ability to get information that may lead to admissible evidence is a decently easy standard, okay? In this case, Kash Patel, you're going to be going like, hey, they're making claims out there that this chick is a Mossad agent. She works for PragerU. She's also the boyfriend of the FBI director. Was he involved in this? You can start asking for text messages between these two. Maybe you're going to find out. What if Kash Patel says something like this? You can't have my tweets. This is due to national security. You're like, wait a second. You are saying national security stuff to this hoe? What is going on? So he can't really do that, and he's going to have to spill the beans. Something that Jonah and them, because they've talked about, they're going after that. What you need to do, Jonah, if you're listening here, and you're not, but I met Jonah sorry, did I say Jonah? I met Elijah. Elijah, if you're listening to this, Elijah, I met him down at Bro Grove, nice guy. If you're listening to this, you need to go after PragerU as well. The lady works for PragerU. Is there a connection there that maybe their funding is from Mossad? Truth is the best evidence, and that is her claim. We will get to that claim here shortly. So let's maybe take a look here. Who also did thing was Rift TV, which is, I keep trying to say Jonah, Elijah's own thing. He did a nice little article about it. It was very good as well. He's got a decent little website, Rift TV. and whatnot. But let's go to the complaint. First of all, let's take a look here at some of this chat. See if we've got anything else. HH brought down Gawker. Evening, Tyler. Evening there, Eddie. Do you trust Kyle Seraphin? Very, very good question. Kyle, he's the one that posted that up there, right? Yes. Let's go back up to this tweet here. I don't know that I do. And I will say this, which is the lawsuit against him is much more of a wobbler than Elijah's. Elijah's, I feel, is a no-brainer. It's going to get kicked out. Matter of fact, is Elijah going to end up coming away from this more influential, as we talked about at the top? Is he going to come out of this with actually more money? He very well could. Kyle's comments seem to be wrong. He is the one that's kind of put this thing out there about the Mossad stuff, and it appears to me that they were conflating some of the stuff that they early on were conflating was the lady that was like the CEO of PragerU, conflating her with the Alexis, thinking that they were the same person. Okay, maybe, but it's not. And Alexis is, allegedly an American-born person. So I don't know that I trust Kyle either. He's a former Fed, literally. He's mixed up in this bombing thing as well, which seems to be, I don't know, day by day. Who's telling the truth there? We'll just have to wait and see. What else you have? Just say you want BPT and you won't be ordered to see your kids. Boom, life hack. Okay. I think you meant spill the curry, Tyler. Elijah. Yeah, it's I prefer Paul Schaefer. Solid there. We need the applause and the, oh, that's the sad trombone. There's the applause. I need to have the air horn on the same side. It's not. There we go. There we go. There's the air horn and the applause and the sad trombone. And if I make a joke, there we go at the laughter too. Okay, so there you go. Let's go to the complaint. Okay, it's in the Southern District for Florida, West Palm Beach Division. Now, I heard Elijah talking about like, hey, they're filing this in a district that's not, this is in federal court, okay, United States District Court, yeah, federal court in Florida, but they're filing basically under Florida law. And so how do you get into federal court? Well, you have to have diversity. It can be, different parties live in different states. The district still has to be appropriate for one of those. Something from there, and it's called the long arm statute. Where is he doing business? Where is he reaching? Now, it's almost anywhere, but he's based in Florida. He being Elijah is based in Florida, but he reaches everywhere. So Florida's fine. And then a case in controversy, there you go, over $75,000. There you go. So we've got the federal jurisdiction, no problem there. They're demanding a jury trial. Now, Elijah, he had mentioned, what was I saying? Something slipped my mind there. We'll get back to it here, I'm sure. Let me just expand this a bit. Okay. Defendant Elijah D. Schaffer has perpetuated a malicious lie about Alexis Wilkins, falsely claiming that she is an American-born country singer. Falsely claiming that she, now we're describing her, an American-born country singer, is an agent of a foreign government assigned to manipulate and compromise the director of the FBI. Defendant, an personality who makes a living as a podcaster and political commentator, profiting on churning controversy and outrage, is using this fabricated narrative. And by the way, when you read the complaints, you just take we know this could be false, but on its face, you take the accusations as real, as factual, and then from there, that's kind of your initial, like if you're going to ask for a summary judgment for dismissal, you got to say everything on the, anyway, so. Did I miss something else here? American-born. Okay. Evidently, she is American-born. I don't know that we're going to dispute that. I think that's the other lady, for the CEO of Prager, who was not born there. Assigned to manipulate and compromise the director of the FBI. Defendant, an internet personality who makes a living as a podcaster, profiting off turning controversy and outrage, is using this fabricated narrative as self-enriching clickbait and has published it to his sizable audience. Painting a target on Miss Wilkins for no reason other her association other than, maybe is that what you meant to say there? Her association with FBI Director Kash Patel. Accordingly, Miss Wilkins seeks to hold defendant accountable for his malicious and knowing lies. Parties. Plaintiff Alexis Wilkins is a resident in the United States in the state of Tennessee. Defendant Elijah Schaffer is an individual who is a resident and citizen of the state of Florida. Jurisdiction and venue. The court has subject matter jurisdiction. That's the subject itself. We just kind of mentioned that. Over this action, 28 U.S.C. 1332, because there's a complete diversity of citizenship. There you go. 2 people in different states and an amount of controversy exceeding $75,000. There you go. That's your issue for your federal. The defendant is subject to personal jurisdiction in Florida because he is a resident there. So you don't even have to go this what's called long arm statute to try to get him in a different venue. Oh, I remember what I was saying. So Jonah's like, look, they filed this in a place that's not very good to someone like me, like politically. So, but you've also got Alexis and Kash Patel. Kash Patel. No one if this goes to a jury, it won't. If this goes to a jury, no one on that jury is going to look at Alexis and think of her. They're going to look at Alexis and think of Kash Patel. If it's a liberal area and you think that they want to side with someone that's been bashing Kash Patel and possibly Trump, or this, or Kash Patel himself, because he's really the person that's going after this. So I don't know that that's an issue. Now, if it's in a venue, this area where it's very, very high dense Jewish Zionist issue, which you can get, right? The snowbirds that come down from, or the whatever they call them, they come down from New York, reside in Florida. That could be problematic. Okay, so venue is proper for the defendant's right in this district. Miss Wilkins, factual background, is an American, born in the United States. She is a patriotic, conservative, Christian country music artist and published writer who also works for a conservative advocacy and educational company, PragerU. Okay, this is really important here because some Yahoo, and maybe I should look it up here, he's like... I think I will. I think as this is coming along, I'm just going to find the kind of the stuff that comes to my mind. Oh, there you go. There you go. So this guy, he's like, this is a lawsuit against a private person by a private citizen. This isn't some violation of the Constitution or some violation of American rights. It's a private citizen suing a private citizen. Get the fuck over it, people. Stop trying to make it more than it is. That's not necessarily true at all. And then someone else was saying there was commentary about her being a public person. And we'll get to that, what that means in a defamation suit. But you basically have 2 tiers in defamation. You get to defame someone a little bit more if they're a public person rather than a private person. And what is that? What makes them a public or private person? But keep that in mind as they talk about her. They're not anywhere in this lawsuit making the projection that she's a private person. If she's a private person getting defamed by anybody, that is now difficult standard. You're going to for the defendant, okay? As a defendant, when they're a public person, the standard is you've got to have malice, intent, okay? Knowingly and recklessly doing something, okay? She's a public person. What are they claiming in here? She's an American born, and okay, she's a patriot. I mean, she is patriotic. I don't know. Is she? That's up for debate. She's conservative. That's also up for debate. Christian. I don't know. What's the status on that? None of those things matter. None of those matter. Country music artist. Okay. Published writer. These are the important ones. Country music artist, published writer, also works for a conservative advocacy and educational company, PragerU. None of those point to her being a private person. This is a very public person. Okay. As a matter of fact, we're going to read off of the tweet here a little bit later where Kash Patel says she's a music sensation. Maybe I should actually go in here because they talk about that in here. Let's take a look here. Let's see if it's in this one. iTunes. Nope. Must have done it in this one. There you go. So Wilkins, 27, rose from national music scene in 2021 debut EP Grit, which hit number 4 on iTunes country music charts. A Tennessee native, self-described devout Christian, she served as a press secretary for Rep. Abe Hamada, representative from Arizona, contributes to PragerU. Is that the only thing? They talked a little bit. Oh, here we go. Patel has called her a country music sensation in her defenses on X, while detractors note her Spotify monthly listeners linger around 9,000. Okay, all of this is interesting because she's not a nobody. But she's not, it's weird because she's not a sensation, like he says, but she's definitely a public person. There would be arguments that I, even with my teeny little show here, would be a public person because I make commentary and I'm broadcasting out, some videos are big, some are small. I don't know, okay? People can know me, who I am. I'm much different than she is, right? I mean, I don't have an EP that did. She just recently did the Star Spangled Banner at a wrestling event that Kash went to. You're not really. I mean, even someone like Heidi Cruz, Ted Cruz's wife, is she a public person? Well, she's his wife. He's a senator. And she's kind of out there because she talks and does stuff. She's not even as much. This person is really in the spotlight as a comparison. We will figure out what is wrong with his eyes in disguise. I wonder what Kash looks like when he's shocked, surprised, if it's any different than his resting face. What's fascinating? When I worked for this, I worked for E-Trade, okay? And we had an intranet, okay? We had a directory of everybody. So you'd look up, oh, this person's in this department. And it was like their badge picture that you had on their badge, their picture there. Well, you'd see those people. My buddy and I, this was 2000 to 2006. I worked there. We would take the photos, we would screenshot those photos, crop them, and then use those in messages to each other as emojis. Nothing is better than, there's a story about me going out with someone who had one eye, and we would use that as a wink. That's not very nice, but it's what we did. Okay. Miss Wilkins, we talked about that. She's a long-term relationship with Kash Patel, which began January 2023. This is widely known. See, once again, this is nothing in this. Once again, these people that were making these arguments online that she's a private person are just they didn't read this thing. Nothing in this lawsuit claims that she's a private person. Matter of fact, they build this stuff up, and this is exactly what it is. This is widely known. Okay. Is it widely known when I met my wife? No. I mean, it is in my family. And Miss Wilkins has posted photos of herself, and she has done that, and Director Patel on Instagram as early as January 24, sorry. November 30, 2024, newly elected President Donald J. Trump announced his intention to nominate Kash Patel as the director of the FBI. On February 20, 2020, horrible decision, Senate confirmed Director Patel to that position. Defendant is an internet personality and CEO of Rift TV. Defendant has over 841,800 followers on X. Let's do this. I want to take a look at, let's see here. Let's search for Alexis Wilton. Did she make herself private? Maybe she blocked me. Because earlier today I was able to see it. Maybe I got the block. That'd be pretty sweet. I'll go check that out later. I was going to see how many followers she had. Reached tens of thousands of views and numerous reposts. Defendant routinely posts politically charged content to generate controversy, prompting clicks, thereby driving engagement revenue. Now, is that his purpose? There's a lot of this that there's assumptions here of what he intends. Defendant generates income through X's official monetization program. He does, which pays him ad revenue sharing, rewards viral, high engagement content. In other words, the more controversial defendant generates with his content, the more he gets paid. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. September 14, 2025, X user Hen Mazig published a lengthy and detailed post about the prominent role female Mossad agents have played in Israel's sophisticated intelligence efforts against Iran, including by, quote, seducing top officials, unquote, and that, quote, some of them reportedly seduced high-ranking enemy officials, unquote. There we go. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but they post this in here as evidence. In a responsive, now, maybe we should read this whole thing, because according to this post here, and according to Elijah, it never mentions Kash Patel in here. Okay. In a responsive comment or quote post published the same day, September 14, 2024, defendant posted without caption a photo of Miss Wilkins arm in arm with Kash Patel, which she originally shared on her Instagram account January 2024. In the photo, Miss Wilkins and Patel are dressed up for a formal evening, and Miss Wilkins is wearing a fitted red halter neck cocktail dress. Okay. 1.5 million impressions. Good job there, Elijah. Yeah, so there you go. Defendant post the photo received massive engagement with 1.5 million views, at least 38,000 likes, hundreds of comments, and thousands of reposts and bookmarks. Now, according to Elijah, he's like, look, I'm just posting this. I'm making a joke. And you don't even know what I'm thinking. I mean, I think I can read into what you are, but there could be almost anything. There could be almost anything. The defendant's post, okay, we said that. While defendant may not have included any caption to spell out meaning in his post, he didn't have to. Okay, so this would be so obvious of what you mean that we don't have to say anything. Possibly. Ever since Kash Patel was appointed as director of the FBI in February 2025, the conspiratorial corners of the internet, social media have been spreading a false narrative that Miss Wilkins is an Israeli Mossad agent, spy, or honeypot. I mean, there's not many reasons why this relationship makes sense, right? Who is only in the relationship with Kash to spy on and manipulate the United States government. It makes sense, right? When you have things like this.
Right. We need America to wake up and prioritize Israel, and that is not.
There you go. Kash Patel to spy and manipulate. Defendant's wordless reply to Mr. Mazig's lengthy description of female Mossad agents who seduce high-ranking enemy officials, juxtaposing a carefully chosen photograph of Miss Wilkins in a sleeveless red dress embracing the director of the FBI, unmistakably accuses Miss Wilkins of being a Mossad agent for Israel who has, quote, seduced, unquote, Director Patel to compromise him, a honeypot. Yeah, so you're going to have to, if you're going to say, well, then fine, we're going to go through. That's not what I meant. However, in the alternative, if you're going to say that is, then let's at least see if truth is a defense. Let's do some discovery. I need all your text messages with almost anybody. Has she been in contact with anybody from Israel? Oh, the CEO of PragerU is. Interesting. Well, then we need all their communications. Now I need to know if that person's communications with Israel are relevant here. Let's get all the financial filings of PragerU associated with this, because if that is the case, I need to know. I need to know if you're going to say, yes, you did mean it that way, then the truth is a defense, which we'll get here, and maybe that's the case. Let's dismantle PragerU dollar by dollar to see if they are in charge. All right. Okay, is that Miss Wilkins is a spy of a foreign government, conducting espionage to undermine our national security and to manipulate federal law enforcement at the highest level, and even committing treason. I've talked about that. I don't know if it's so much treason, because treason has not really been used. The Espionage Act has been used a lot more, and I think that is something that we need to start stirring up. You know, I go back to the golden age of spies, you know, after the Cold War, during the Cold War. I mentioned Whitaker Chambers before, the pumpkin papers. You know, you had all these different type of, you know, the Soviet spies and whatnot, and it was a big deal. Obviously, McCarthy, right? The Wheeling 200 or whatever the list was that he had there in Wheeling, Virginia. They listed all the communists in America, in the government. Right? This is a problem. And it was a problem. Why are we not stirring the pot with espionage based on the connection with the foreign government, being British, being Russia, being Israel, right? Defendant's views interpreted his post to be called. She interpreted it. Well, I'm sorry, bitch. You can be wrong. Women are known to not always understand. We don't always understand each other. This could very well be one of those cases. Defendant's viewers interpreted his post, his viewers, calling Miss Wilkins a Mossad agent. In response, one actor stated, imagine her face with Mossad her face when Mossad told her job was going to be in another state. Dr. Patel was offered a Mossad wifey. Okay, this one is funny. Imagine her face. She's like, oh shit, I got this guy. This is the best one though. This is as they put this in the claim here. Another person, Tanitris, put his application for an FBI director stated, quote, show Bob's in Virginia. Then he was offered a Mossad wifey. He just had to make the pledge. Full support, sir. Defendant intended this defamatory implication. Defendant frequently posting. Okay, now we're going to go in a completely different direction, because this is where I'm starting to go, wait, what's the meaning of this this lawsuit? And if you want to put everything in this complaint here, which supports the position that she's not a Mossad agent, she doesn't care about Israel as far as that goes, then this next stuff is concerning. Defendant frequently posts anti-Israel rhetoric, accusing Israel of controlling the United States and its politicians. Oh, interesting. Why is this necessary in here? Oh, you're going to say, oh, because, you know, this is an implication, Mossad, and this is, or are you just really worried about this kind of posting? Trump doesn't want to admit that Netanyahu doesn't fear him. Israel has more control over the USA than we do over them. That's very true. We don't have much control. I think this is a really good post. Our politicians are hook, line, and sinker sold out to the Jewish state regime. Now, you should have said Zionist state regime. It's genuinely disheartening. We must remove these parasites from AIPAC. Now, this is the thing based off of disclosed TV. Israeli officials say Trump approved the Iran attack. We had clear U.S. green light, adding reports of Trump restraining Israel were planted to deceive, while Trump and Netanyahu coordinated the attack in private. Then his next one, my entire feed is just about people glazing Israel and defending the occupation of our nation. It's incredible. All happened after the forced TikTok sale on behalf of the ADL. And it's a tweet of Brandon Tatum just being a total, this is the only way to describe it. You either get Israel-controlled politicians who hate you, or foreigners who hate you. Welcome to America. Okay, it breaks my heart that Trump could have been if he wasn't a slave to Israel. Tragic. Okay, okay. So it's just more stuff. Yeah, he's bashing the Israel stuff. I don't have a problem with that. Israel mentioned. Drink. Yes. Let's take a look and see how the chat's doing here. A little break. Well, he got one good eye. She's pretty. Rushed home to watch this. Eating Taco Bell in my car like a diseased animal. Israel mentioned drink. Welcome, Garbage Main, Andy. I think I see some raccoons eating Taco Bell. Late to the chat. What do you drink tonight, Tyler? Tonight I'm doing Hazy Little Thing IPA from Sierra Nevada, just up the road from where I'm at. Baja Blast for Andy. Okay, good for him. Defendant, no, okay. Defendant has also has disdain for Director Patel, recently referencing him as a traitor. Okay, this is the key, not the little honeypot thing up there. It's the Israel posts, and why is that important? Why is that important?
Aaron's right. We need America to wake up and prioritize Israel, and that is
right. That's his problem, okay? And he's been looking like a complete buffoon recently. So it's that, and then calling him a traitor. Yeah, completely fine. If you're going to now start filing lawsuits for people calling their congressman who votes against their wants and needs a traitor, good luck with that. That's going to be overflowing the courts. Defendant knowingly or with reckless disregard for the truth fabricated this act. It's got to be with malice. This accusation at the expense of Ms. Wilkins generated outrage to drive up his viewership and engagement, thereby resulting in monetary gain and further notoriety. Minimally, defendant acted negligently in doing so. Negligence isn't going to get you there. You have to have wanton disregard for the truth, knowing that the truth, what it is, and went against it in a malicious manner, not negligence. If you think negligence is going to get you there, I've got something to sell you. Yeah. Count one. Now, count one usually means that there's count 2, 3, and 4. We'll see. Plaintiff incorporates by reference the above paragraphs as set forth fully herein. September 2025, defendant defamed Ms. Wilkins, posting a carefully selected photograph of her in a fitted sleeveless red dress, arm in arm with Dr. Patel in response to a post about Mossad female operatives. In making this post, defendant posted an actual, literally true photograph of Ms. Wilkins and Director Patel in response to a lengthy post about Mossad and female operatives. The post reasonably implies that Ms. Wilkins herself is a Mossad agent manipulating and in control of Director Patel. I'm curious. What's the Belichick? He's got like a crazy young, I don't know if she's hot, but girlfriend, right? And you just know she's controlling shit. Is that what's happening here? Do you want this kind of guy that she's so disturbed? He's like, tell you what, fine, you're upset. You know, let's put on these mood lights here. He's like, fine, you're so upset. You're going to, why don't you just go, it's not turned on. Why don't you use my attorney, use my law firm, file this lawsuit? Yeah, Kyle Seraphin, fine. Elijah, yeah, fine. File these lawsuits. Is that the kind of person it is? I don't know. That's what I'm getting here. Or he's, and it could be him, because he does seem like a complete bitch, right? That Kash Patel is like, honey, here's what you have to do. I've got to rein these guys in, because, you know, they don't have the ideas like I do. Like, here, what do I want most out of life?
Right. We need America to wake up and prioritize Israel, and that is...
Okay, fine. I need to prioritize Israel. To do so, you are going to go and you're going to be the face of these lawsuits. I can't do it because I'm a government official. And then if I'm doing it, it's, you know, there's that First Amendment that looks like I'm, you know, yeah. The implication, it's not outright claim a statement. It's an implication. There, and by the way, okay, we'll just go through this because then I'll keep losing my. This implication is categorically false and so obviously damaging to her reputation that damages are presumed. Nah, I didn't catch that earlier. Damages are presumed when it's defamation per se, okay? What does that mean? It means that there was something, so it's, do I have it here? Let's take a look at, because I did some elements that I wanted to go through. Damages, actual harm, defamation per se in Florida. There we go. So let's take a look here. Certain categories: accusing someone of a crime, alleging someone has a loathsome disease, accusing someone of incompetence, dishonesty, or misconduct in their profession, or implying sexual misconduct. I guess it could be. I guess it would be a crime for her to be doing this. Loathsome disease. I mean, he's a Pajit. What are you gonna do there? Incompetence. I mean, come on. Dishonesty or misconduct. Okay, maybe they are saying, you typically say this is defamation, and then you say I've got defamation per se, and you have kind of as multiple. Oops, there you go. Ms. Wilkins depends on reputation as a patriot, American in a profession. Both as a, I'm sorry, your profession demands that you are a patriot, both as a country music artist and working for PragerU. Oh, PragerU, that patriot of where? American patriot, patriot American. Oh, Jesus. Has anybody ever thought of PragerU and said, you know what, that American patriot? The implication imputes the commission of various crimes, including espionage and treason. Good point. Okay, fine. Defamation per se. I got it. As evidenced by defendants, which means you don't have to actually state damages. They are implied. Now, that's the problem, because this bitch ain't got no damages. There's no damages that's going on with her. You know, as evidenced by defendants posting about Israel controlling the United States, as well as his disdain for... Who cares about your disdain for... Patel. Why people keep calling me? This is supposed to be why does this disdain for Patel have anything to do with this lawsuit? This is the problem with this drafting here, is you are bringing the director of the FBI into this lawsuit for discovery, right? Because you're putting it in here as your claim, your count one as part of this. Both country imputes as evidenced by postings about Israel controlling the United States, disdain for Patel. Defendant intended and endorsed this inference. Defendant has malice towards Ms. Wilkins because of her relationship with Director Patel. By the way, that's not what the malice is for. My understanding for a public person. It's that you did it with malice, not that just you have a malice for her. It was the action and your actions that took place. I have malice for her, but I haven't done anything defamatory that she knows. Defendant published a defamatory implication to over 1 million viewers, knowing that it was false. You just said above that he didn't say what it was. So this is the problem that they're going to have. They're going to have to juxtapose that he made a picture without any statement, and then have to infer what he intended and what his mind was thinking. Really, this is the thought crime type of stuff. There's absolutely no reason outside of defendant's desire to stir up controversy and generate income for himself to accuse Miss Wilkins, an American-born country singer, being a foreign agent. You can be dual citizens all the time, people. Agent engaged in espionage. Defendant entirely fabricated this story. He didn't make a story. It's not his story. If anything, it's a republication of it to generate engagement revenue for himself and his company, and to indulge in his obvious animus against Director Patel and against Miss Wilkins and being in a relationship with. This is very telling. Once again, anytime she's almost an afterthought. She's almost an afterthought, and you think that you're getting the defamation to her based on through him? Give me a break. At no point, because he's a public figure, he's a government official, and if you think that's stifling your speech, what's happening here, you are correct. At no point has defendant reached out to Miss Wilkins. Okay, good. She has publicly stated prior to defendant's statements that the alleged allegations regarding her affiliation with Israel are false. Minimally, defendant has acted negligently. Once again, that standard isn't gonna. I wouldn't even put that in my brief, because you don't want this idea of negligence coming in. Negligence isn't the standard here. It's got to be malice, intent, reckless, wanting, knowing that it's false and doing it anyway. However, as above, obvious animus combined with inherently ludicrous nature of his implication are ample evidence that he acted with actual malice. I don't think that's the case. He didn't say any words, so you don't know. You're going to have to imply. Once again, they say the word implication, and when you're implying, you don't actually know. The defamation, considering the context of defendant's various ex-posts about Israel, the deviation here is bad. A reasonable person would understand that defendant's statements are not mere hyperbole. And his viewers did, in fact, take him seriously, as evidenced in the replies by defendant's post. The defamation implication has directly and proximately caused Miss Wilkins to suffer significant damages, including a damage to her reputation, humiliation, and embarrassment, and the nature of which is ongoing, long-lasting. These damages were foreseeable and intended by the defendant. I don't believe that one bit. You want to go to a jury and try to show us how you've been damaged, your reputation? Well, what she would do is she'd post this picture, and everyone would be like, oh yeah, honey, we're sorry. Where's your dad? What kind of dad? Are you not involved in your daughter's life? What have you done so wrong as a father that this happens? I don't know. Maybe that's defamatory to him. Defendant published the defamatory statements knowingly, intentionally, willfully, wantonly, and maliciously with intent to harm Miss Wilkins, and or in blatant disregard for the substantial likelihood of causing her harm, thereby entitling Miss Wilkins to a award of punitive damages. As a direct and proximate result of the misconduct of defendant, Miss Wilkins is entitled to compensatory, special, and punitive damages in the sum of $5 million in greater amount, as is determined by the jury. Let's do this here. Hang on, I don't want you to necessarily see us here. What has Kash Patel said about the lawsuit verdict of Alex Jones and regarding Sandy Hook. Let's see if it's I was unable to find any public record of Kash Patel responding specifically to the verdicts of the lawsuit, including a large defamation judgment. If you like, I can check deeper. Yes, deeper. And the only reason is because I would be interested to see if he has any problems with this kind of lawsuit, which is really about speech. Okay, that's the only count. One count, defamation. You have multiple different types of defamation you can do. You have other things, invasion and of person's privacy in a public light or something like that. Invasion of privacy. There's multiple different types you can do. Maybe they don't have those in Florida. I don't know. It's just odd that there's just one count, and that count is worth $5 million. Alex respectfully requests the court to enter judgment in her favor and grant relief against defendant as follows, and award a compensatory, special, and punitive damages in excess of $5 million, and such other and further relief as the court deems just and appropriate to protect Ms. Wilkins. And then there is the completely batshit attorneys that filed this. Okay, let's see if short answer. I couldn't find any clear on-the-record public statements from Kash Patel, specifically responding to the Sandy Hook verdicts. What I checked, major news, Okay, so maybe he's kept his nose clean, as you would say, for there. Let's do the full chat. I think some raccoons eating. Okay, late to the chat. We did that. Hey guys, yeah, but this is the FBI, not the shitty Tar Heels. They consult a guy named Prose. Your Honor, let it be known that this bitch ain't got no damages, and Your Honor's judgment shall reflect this truth. Verify, per se. Here. Yes. Okay, so what I want to look at is what does it mean to have, what are the elements? And we talk about elements. You have to have all these elements present to get a judgment or liability for, this tort. There'd be liability for this tort. So first you have to have publication. The statement must be communicated to a third party, someone other than the person defamed. Even one other person hearing or reading it satisfies. Okay, so we all read it. There's publication. He made the statement. The statement must be false and a fact, not opinion. So this is the problem here, right? Well, he's like, it's my opinion that she's a piece of shit, or it's my opinion that she's a Mossad agent. I don't know if the Mossad agent works as an opinion, but we don't really know specifically what Elijah was saying. So, there you go. Pure opinions or rhetorical hyperbole are generally not actionable. Well, rhetorical hyperbole is definitely what we're looking at here. Florida courts require the plaintiff to show falsity, especially if the plaintiff is a public figure and the matter involves public concern. There you go. So that's where I say, that's fine. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's find out everything we can about her. If there's any kind of maybe she's getting paid, right? I don't know. You'd have to say she's actually a Mossad agent, but maybe there's payments. And it blows my mind to think that this wouldn't happen. That you couldn't find, if all things being fair, you're actually able to do this. Connection with Israel money, which is likely, whether it's Mossad or not, coming through. I say you go down that route and you try to dig deep into there just to see what happens. Identification of and concerning the plaintiff. The defamatory statement must be about the plaintiff, or clearly reasonable to understood to refer to them. Direct naming isn't required. Implication or context can suffice. So here you go. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe it's like, well, it is what you read this. It's about Mossad agents handling. There you go. Boom, boom, boom. Perhaps fault. The level of fault depends on the plaintiff's status. Public officials or public figures must show actual malice, that the defendant knew the statement was false and acted with reckless disregard for the truth. I think that's kind of where the Candace thing goes to, which is you just like, I believed it was true. Private individuals, she's not. Damages. The plaintiff must show actual harm, such as damages to reputation, mental anguish, or economic loss. I mean, who doesn't know a crazy bitch that's going to go up there and say that she has mental anguish? Of course she does. She's dating Kash. She's dating this guy. Yeah. Defamation per se, we already said that. I think that works. Defense, truth, complete defense. Opinion, not actionable if it can be proven true or false. Yeah. Qualified privilege, fair reporting, employment references. I mean, you know, now, so that's called a SLAPP suit, right? What he has, it's a strategic lawsuit against public participation. We've talked about those a little bit before, and some of the defense, because you can imagine, you're just like, wait, you're filing a lawsuit, you're stifling my speech, you're actually going after my Second Amendment right, and this guy's like, yeah, but there's two private parties. Okay. But it's two private parties, so then what they have available, some jurisdictions are better than others. We saw the Johnny Depp, they went to Virginia specifically because of the Anti-SLAPP, a lawsuit against strategic lawsuit against public participation. You have an anti-SLAPP. And some states are really good about their SLAPP and anti-SLAPP lawsuits. And Florida has a pretty good one. We've talked about this with the Tates. It's designed to protect people from being sued for exercising their constitutional rights. Here we can take a look at it. Constitutional rights, particularly free speech and petitioning the government, the issue of public concern. So that is essentially what we have here. And so I think the problem with this claim, because there is, you can kind of get there on the implication, right? You're like, oh, there's this article, he posts this picture, and there is a good implication that this bitch is a honeypot, right? Or that he's assuming that that's the case. The problem is they've tied this claim, this entire claim, into animus against Kash Patel and Kash Patel's and Israel, right? You're going to tell me now that I don't have a First Amendment right to bash our government and their relationship with other governments? Oh, let's go up to the Supreme Court on this one. I would love that. Yeah, let's try that. So it is tied into government. And the problem is you've tied in this public official that's trying to use his proxy girlfriend, just like Israel's using her, right? Or so we say.
Aaron's right. We need America to wake up and prioritize Israel. And that is not.
There you go. Prioritize Israel. Okay, strategic law, statutory authority, strategic lawsuits against public participation. Then we talked about the purpose of the goal is to deter meritless lawsuits that are filed to silence, intimidate, or punish individuals. That's exactly what these lawsuits, that's exactly what his is. It's not about her reputation. We know that. As a matter of fact, here is, let's go here to Director Patel himself. Do I have it? There we go. I think we read this the other day. This is him. I'm proud of the work, and he's bitching about his girlfriend being attacking her isn't just wrong. It's cowardly and jeopardizes our safety. Whose safety? You're the FBI director. You're taking the private plane everywhere. You're really thinking that that's the case? My love of family will always be my cornerstone. Well, she's not your wife, so why don't you get the fuck married, or just bang this chick all you want, and just be a loose dude out there having your gay guy out there and allegedly out there in Nevada. You know, I don't know what that is deal going on. You would tear down and keep them from the eye. Where's the part where he talks about his? Oh, there we go. This is defamatory. This is what someone. How he's not sued for this, I don't know. The disgusting baseless attacks against Alexis. By the way, that's why he got noted here, because people are largely attacking Kash Patel's significant, but rather reacting to his firing of people who are a point of his usage of government funds to travel to her shows. They're not this guy's crazy. She's a true patriot and a woman I'm proud to call my partner in life. Well, then marry her. Okay, do the right thing. They're beyond pathetic. She is a rock solid conservative and a country music sensation. Wow, that's I don't think that's the case. There you go. Okay, what was I? Oh, I was going down the anti-SLAPP stuff. We're not done here, people. We're 5 o'clock my time, 5:18. We're still moving on. We got more to go on. Okay, what it protects: the right of speech in connection with a public issue, or the right to petition the government to redress grievances. Definition of free speech in connection with a public issue: statements made before a governmental entity, public, statements made in connection with an issue under governmental review or consideration, statements made in a public forum on an issue of public interest. There you go. Commenting about Israel, that you're putting it in there, you're just setting yourself up. This is why this isn't a good lawsuit. They try to connect this stuff, but the problem is they filed this in Florida. Florida has a very good anti-SLAPP provision, statute. And all you're doing is you're connecting the dots for them to make the argument. It's like, wait a second. You're talking about, I can't bitch about Israel. That's exactly what the anti-SLAPP lawsuit, if you just had this picture, but the problem is if you just have the picture, then you don't really have a lawsuit. So you got to tie this all in. But tying it in gives Elijah the ability to use the anti-SLAPP in a more prominent way, okay? This is intentionally broad, covering speech on social media, news outlets, and other public platforms related to public issues. A defendant can file a motion to dismiss or strike the lawsuit. That's under section 7, whatever. It's a Florida statute there. The court must hear the motion quickly and may award attorney's fees and costs to the defendant if the claim violates the statute. The plaintiff must show the claim has a legitimate basis, is not filed primarily to chill speech. I think this is, so he can file his anti-SLAPP and just get this thing dismissed. And what they look for is their likelihood of him, of the other party succeeding on the merits of their claim here. That's the problem. That's the part of that problem. I can't believe Elijah would defame the patriot, that patriot of a woman. Yeah, well, Patrick, you're completely right. Good to have you along here. You've already addressed this. Apologies, I'm kind of retarded and half a ball of wine. What did I already address? So this has been filed, but has it been picked up by a court? Like, is it going to go all the way through the legal system, or is it just a back off filing? No. Once you file, he's been served. Okay. There is one provision here. It's got a fascinating connection. You think it's just about Kash Patel. Just when you think it's about Kash Patel, it's also about Dan Bongino. And we'll get to that as well. Okay, so they could get attorney's fees and costs and awarded to there. Here is the one big thing that's kind of fascinating. Where did I put this one? There we go. So anti-SLAPP, I'm like, there's different case laws, and I'm like, Bongino, let's take a look. Well, Dan Bongino, he had filed a lawsuit of defamation against the Daily Beast. This got thrown out on the anti-SLAPP provision, and it's one of the cases that they figured on here. I think I talked about this, and this I had reached out to Elijah, but I haven't gotten notice. Because you can screw up. Dan Bongino had big attorneys, and they filed this against the Daily Beast. It's going to be this big thing. His got thrown out of court because of a little known statute provision where if it's a media, you have to give them 5 days notice prior to filing the lawsuit. His entire defamation lawsuit kicked out on an anti-SLAPP because he didn't give the 5 days prior notice. I reached out to Elijah. I said, hey, I'm sure your attorneys are smart guys. This is a Dan Bongino case. I would love to see him win based on them not doing that, get thrown out with prejudice. Anyway, it's a little bit of thing here. Let's see. The court further held that Bongino's ancillary claims for commercial. Oh, that's not what it wanted. August. Florida granted the Daily Beast's motion to dismiss. The court found that Bongino failed to comply with a Florida statute requiring written notice to media defendants at least 5 days before filing a defamation suit. Additionally, the court ruled that the article was not defamatory as a matter of law, noting that it did not state Bongino was fired for cause, and instead, he was talking about. Anyway, these guys, all these podcasters are big pussies. Not a big fan of that myself. Okay, I think we've taken care of that. Did I get blocked by that bitch? I think I did. I think she must have blocked me. I can't find her on here. Did I mention her? Kash is trash. Oh, I'm now followed by D's Nuts, which reminds me of when I was followed by Dave Smith several years ago, and someone else was like some crazy name, and I screenshotted it, and he's in there, and this other person. And I'm like, hey, I finally got the whatever follow. And then, it was funny. We had our buddies, Jose and Dave Smith. The Liquid Zulu, as so appropriately, you guys coined him as Zero Zussi. He went, what's her at? I thought it was just Alexis Wilton. I don't know. I found her earlier, and now I'm not able to. So maybe I need to find my... I don't know, whatever, you guys find it there. I was finding it earlier, and I may have tagged her. I think I may have tagged her. Did I tag her in my, let's do that. In my post about this show? Oh, I did. She had to have blocked me. Come on, give me a block. No? Okay, here you go. That's actually, now I'm more disappointed. Here she is. She's a writer. And the reason I wanted this is because, let's see, she's only got 86,000 followers. She's a country music sensation. How's that possible? She's a writer, political commentator, spokesperson, senior fellow at AP Project, country music, NRA board, Alexis Wikimedia. I mean, she's a public person, people. It's so stupid to say she's not. Let's see what's on her website. There, Jesus Christ. No upcoming shows. Why full bio? Should we read the bio? If it says I'm an Israeli agent, I'm gonna debut release album garnering over 1 million streams across key platforms. The people out there saying that she's not a public person are dumber than a box of rocks. They're about as smart as she is, and that's an opinion. It could be a fact, but I actually know. Okay, so back to the Dave. Jose goes out there. Liquid Zulu does a 3+ hour thing about, and he starts it off, and it's really well done. I got, I don't know, 40 minutes into it, and I was like, I can't anymore. It's like, it brought me back. It had like PTSD from the days of yore of watching that kind of stuff. But he starts it off by showing Dave Smith, Scott Horton, Tom Woods, a bunch of others, Mises Caucus people, and he says they are poison. Okay, that's how it starts off. And then you're wanting me to watch this with a critical eye. I mean, I get it. It's PIRAC, what we do in writing law, which is the problem, issue, analysis, and rule. Now I don't even remember how PIRAC. I don't know. The rule is one of those in there. But basically, you state the issue and then you work your way out. That's, I guess, what he did. He stated his summary. They're poison. And so it's kind of like, whatever. Well, Jose goes out there and Jose is like, oh, this was amazing or something like that. And if Dave doesn't debate them, he is going to take the L. And then those two guys go at it online. And evidently Dave dropped him, didn't follow him. And then they both bitched out and they worked things out. Now, am I a little jealous because Jose won't work out with me? Maybe. But, in Jose's defense, he did call me that night that I did the thing. I was already going to bed. So that didn't happen. So somehow they worked it out over a stupid issue. Kind of weird. Honestly, two guys, Kash and Dan, are giving me Mr. Patriot vibes. Very much so. Nevsky, welcome in there. Mossad Princess. Oh, that's her at. I saw half of Zussie's video and I agree. Dave should leave libertarianism. I thought that before watching the vid, but still. Now, I'll just say about this. I haven't finished the video, right? But I don't know, leave it or not. Maybe it's some accurate descriptions of Dave. There's just a lot of those guys that it's zero Zussie that I just wouldn't want to have anything to do with either. I've kind of backed off on some of the libertarian stuff as far as like being in the party. But I still believe there's a lot of stuff there. But the problem is, yeah, whatever. I don't need to get into that one. She lives in Nashville. Yeah, go find her. Zulu is an objectivist who thinks a married couple can jointly own a house. He's just an attention-thirsty clown. Yeah, his hair is horrible, too. I'll say that right off the bat. I think that's all we're going to do for tonight. Once again, Friday show. We're having on... once again, maybe we should go right. I'm going to cruise through some of my bookmarks. We're showing here. This is Kash Patel. Why is he filming this? That's what I want to know. Is he having? Did he just have an epileptic seizure? Kyle Serafin there. Mel wrote something. There's that. That guy says something. Oh. Mark Vesterbill sent me this. I need to actually look. This is not true. The footage is taken from Turkey. And okay, that's what I actually thought. This looked, I've seen this before. This is foreign, and then they try to make it like it's LA. So I don't think I'll look into that one. Let's see what he says here.
Is wildly out of control, and there's too much clickbait in this country. And one of the things I highlighted at Congress in my testimony last week was if we want to protect our youth, we got to get more involved in social media and online platforms, because that's where the folks, the assassins of this world, get radicalized. That's where they're the lone wolf actors in general. And so we have to get after that problem set. And I asked for Congress' help in doing so. But speaking of Charlie Kirk, who was a very dear friend of mine, and then I was tasked with leading the nationwide manhunt to find the perpetrators involved.
Conflict.
Of course we were going to use every resource we have to find every single person involved, and the investigation's still ongoing. But we, as one of the pillars of my leadership here at the FBI, is transparency. We've produced more documents to Congress than my last two predecessors combined by twofold. Just to put it in perspective. So when we take our investigations out to the streets, I have the same ethos. And this is how we got Charlie Kirk's assassin, alleged assassin, so fast. The Boston Marathon bomber, which happened in downtown Boston during the Boston Marathon, took 5 days, and there was a police officer was killed in that manhunt. Luigi Mangione, who allegedly murdered an individual, the CEO of the healthcare company, in downtown Manhattan in broad daylight, took 5 days to find him. Our investigation is very...
Is he really trying to say that they got him so quick? I mean, what about getting to the bottom of this?
That's right. We need America to wake up and prioritize Israel, and that is not...
Okay, that's interesting. Zulu wouldn't steal a ladder to save his mom from a house fire. He looks like he just sniffs smelling salts, but I'm unsure if those work on Indians. Wow. There's that, and there's some laughter. Yeah, that is pretty funny. I wanted to see... okay, shut up. Okay, there was one of these ones I was trying to see here where they were talking about her being not a public person, and it just blew me away. Oh, you know what? Let's end with this one. This is fascinating about like why why the Republicans lost the thing in New York.
A female rat is in proximity to a cat, and they smell the cat in the area. They get so traumatized that they abort all the fetuses. That's how powerful the presence of a cat is. If a...
I don't know what's going on there. Jose wants to kiss and make up. Well, okay, well, maybe he could reply to my fucking text. Maybe that's too much for him. He is a bit of a boomer, so I will look into that. Maybe I'll give him a call. I am out. I'm going to go find my wife. It's 5:30 the rest of the week. Friday, Mel is coming in Friday. I hope you enjoyed this. Will the lawsuit succeed? I believe he can actually win on the basis of an anti-SLAPP lawsuit, which you can get all your attorney's fees and everything, and maybe even get some punitive damages there. I love y'all. Take care. Have a good night. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe. Tyler Yonke at Substack.com. Tyler Yonke on Twitter. Tip your waiter later.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
Okay, I'm leaving.
Wrong outro.
But she's back.
And now.
Tyler, if you had any clout about you, if you had any like knowledge of the real world of what happens, we walk into Tim Katz's studio, immediately there's 4 Jewish lawyers.
King of the Druids!
Oh, that's all we needed. A Jewish princess.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't expect the normies like Tyler to understand these kind of things. He's just a podunk lawyer somewhere in like rural California. He's an idiot, really.
Takes a tough man to make a tender forecast, Nick. I guess that's me. Keep fucking that chicken.
This guy's, I wouldn't say he's full of shit, but I'd say he's stupid. Whatever, if you're in the comments, if you're in the chat now, I wouldn't pay attention to anything he says anyway. But
more or less, eat shit and die.
Don't ever come to Top Lobster. He will end you. Do you see what he just did to Tyler? Just fucking challenge this
Tyler's
entire...
done.
Top is a maniac.
He can't even reply right now because he's crippled.
He's got nothing to say.
What are you talking about? I didn't say that. Why don't you argue with something I said, you dumb bastard?